All right, hello everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for this information session and our research student thesis showcase. Firstly, could I just sort of very briefly tell you about today's rundown? So we're very lucky today to have Dr. Winnie Zeng, who's going to be presenting to us work that she has been doing in her thesis. She has very recently graduated from the Department of English and Communication and is currently a postdoctoral fellow in the Department of Chinese and Bilingual Studies. We're very lucky to have Winnie today, who's going to be talking to us about framing metaphor use over time. Following Winnie's talk, you will have an opportunity to ask her questions. And after that, we will give you an overview of the PhD program and the Hong Kong Fellowship Scheme. And following that, we'll give you an opportunity to ask me and Dr. Kathleen Arends, who is the DRC chair and a professor in the department, any questions that you might have related to the PhD scheme and program. Can I please request that while Winnie is giving her talk, that you keep your mics muted and refrain from asking any questions till after she has completed her talk. All right, thanks so much, Winnie, for joining us. I'm going to pass the mic over to you now.
Okay, thank you, Aditi. I will share my screen now. Okay, hello everyone. I'm very happy to have this opportunity to share with you one study I conducted as part of my PhD thesis. My presentation will take around 15 minutes. So the title of my study is Framing Metaphor Use Over Time, Free Economy Metaphors in Hong Kong Political Discourse from 1997 to 2017. As you can see from the title, this study focuses on diachronic metaphor analysis in political discourse, focusing on the topic of free economy in the context of Hong Kong. So first, I will show you two examples using metaphors to talk about the free economy issue in public speeches by Hong Kong principal officials in different time periods. In the first example, Donald Zeng, the Chief Secretary for Administration in Hong Kong, said in 2001, "Nevertheless, we've taken some significant steps to further liberalize our economy." So this example conceptualizes economic liberalization in terms of a journey, as evidenced in the linguistic expression of taking steps to. In the second example, the Financial Secretary, John Zeng, said in 2013, "Economic freedom has long been the cornerstone of Hong Kong's stability, our growth, as well as our prosperity." Here, economic freedom was understood in terms of a building, as evidenced in the word cornerstone, that provides the basis of Hong Kong's stability, growth, and prosperity. So we see in these two examples, the free economy issues were talked about in terms of different metaphors, the journey metaphor and building metaphors at different points of time. So the current study aims to analyze these changes in the metaphorical framing of free economy in a corpus of public speech over the past 2 decades in Hong Kong. Some background information about the topic of free economy. So according to the 2019 Index of Economic Freedom, Hong Kong has been ranked as the world's freest economy for the past 25 consecutive years, from 1995 to 2019. So what is free economy? In economically free societies, government allow labor, capital, and goods to move freely with little or without government influence or control. So in an idealized free market economy, prices for goods and services are set freely by the forces of supply and demand, without intervention by government policy. So there's no sales taxes, import or export tariffs, and legal prohibition. And based on my observation in the data of the current study, I found that overall, the free economy topic mainly focused on the economic relationship between Hong Kong and mainland China from 1997 to 2017. So a critical point of time during this period is June 29, 2003, when mainland China and Hong Kong signed the first free trade agreement, the Mainland and Hong Kong Closer Economic Partnership Arrangement, CEPA, which aims to strengthen economic cooperation and achieve full liberalization of the economies in the two regions. So in the data analysis, I specifically focused on patterns of free economy metaphor use before and after this critical point of time. Next, the theoretical framework adopted in this study mainly it refers to framing from communication science and conceptual metaphor in cognitive linguistics. In cognitive linguistics, conceptual metaphor theory defines metaphors as cross-domain mappings in the conceptual system, where more abstract target domain, for example, free economy, were understood in terms of more concrete source domain, for example, building. So in free economy, it's a building metaphor here. Economy is the target domain, which is conceptualized in terms of a more concrete source domain of building. And the concept of framing has been commonly discussed in the field of communication science. As defined in Entman 1993, framing essentially involves selection and salience. To frame is to select some aspects of a perceived reality and make them more salient in a communicating text. It's one part of the communication process that uses language as a tool to facilitate and reveal various ways of understanding and reasoning. In conceptual metaphor, the selection of source domain highlights specific aspects of the target domain and at the same time downplays other aspects. So this function makes metaphor an important linguistic means or tools for framing in communication and cognition. So metaphorical framing refers to the use of metaphorical language to facilitate particular understandings or evaluations of topics or situations. So since metaphors can be used to frame various topics or societal issues, examining changes in metaphors is an effective way to reflect how conceptualizations of societal issues change over time. So my study adopted this metaphor-based approach to checking changes at 2 dimensions over time. First, the fundamental change, referring to transformation of metaphor source domains. And second, the incremental change, referring to transformation of source target domain mappings. I have 3 research questions. First, how does general attention to free economy topic in Hong Kong political discourse change over time? And second and third, to what extent do free economy metaphor experience fundamental change and incremental change in Hong Kong political discourse over time? So there are 3 main procedures of my study: data collection, data coding, and data analysis. So for data collection, I built a corpus of political speech in Hong Kong. And second, data coding, I identify all the free economy metaphors in the corpus for analysis. And for data analysis, I analyzed the changes in free economy metaphors in a corpus of time. I will then explain the procedures step by step. So the corpus I built includes public discourse in post-colonial Hong Kong. This is the organization chart of the Hong Kong government. I collected the public speech delivered by the Secretary for Justice, Chief Secretary for Administration, and Financial Secretary. So in total, I manually collected more than 1,200 speeches by 11 principal officials with around 1,800,000 words. The corpus covers around 2 decades, spanning from July 1st, 1997, the day when Hong Kong transformed from a British colony to a special administrative region of China, to December 31, 2017. After I built the corpus, I started with extracting free economy instance from the corpus. And in total, we obtained 1,430 free economy instances for analysis. Next, associated metaphors of a free economy were identified following MIPVU method, the metaphor identification procedure of High University Amsterdam. In total, we identified 695 metaphorical free economy instances out of the total 1,430 free economy instances. And the third step of data coding is identifying source domains of free economy metaphors. We identified 17 types of source domains, and the top 4 frequently used metaphor source domains are journey, living organism, building, and sport. I will be focusing on these 4 types of metaphors or source domains in the data analysis part. 2 analysts completed all the data coding in my study, and the inter-rater reliability test results show all the data coding are reliable. Next, for the data analysis, I analyzed the attention to free economy, the fundamental changes and incremental changes in free economy metaphors in the corpus over time in response to the 3 research questions accordingly. Let's see the results. First, the dotted line in this figure shows that the attention to the topic of free economy are not significantly correlated with time. In other words, the topic of free economy has been constantly mentioned in the public speeches over the past 2 decades. In addition, we see a sharp rise between 2002 and 2004 in a solid line, showing increased attention to the topic of free economy during this period, which is likely caused by the signing of the CEPA on June 29, 2003, based on the contextual information of my data. And second, in terms of the fundamental change, the dotted line in this figure shows that overall the use of free economy metaphor have slightly decreased over time. And also, we didn't find significant fundamental changes in the use of the top 4 frequent source domains: journey, living organism, sport, and the building. But we got some interesting findings in terms of the incremental meaning changes in free economy metaphors. We compared the source target mapping principles in the top 4 frequent metaphors before and after the signing of CEPA on June 29, 2003. And the results show that living organism and sport metaphors remained mostly constant, while journey and building metaphors underwent clear incremental changes. So for the 2 source domains remain constant over time, this table shows living organism metaphor mainly referred to the economic growth brought by free economy, and sport metaphor primarily emphasized Hong Kong's competitiveness as the world's freest economy before and after June 29, 2003, throughout the entire period. And so we found common mapping principles underlying the living organism and sport metaphors. And some discussion about the results, the pattern. So by emphasizing the achievements or positive aspects brought by free economy, such as economic growth, competitiveness, the government leaders were able to promote Hong Kong-based business and Hong Kong's economy to the world. This strategy in turn helped to justify the government's agenda that continued economic growth and commitment to the free economy should remain political goals throughout this period. So the consistent use of metaphorical frames of living organism and sport metaphor can be considered as rhetorical strategy by Hong Kong political leaders to deliver the message that the government's goal of economic liberalization remains unchanged from 1997 to 2017. For the 2 domains underwent incremental meaning changes in the 2 periods, and this table shows that in journey metaphors before the signing of CEPA, Hong Kong secretaries emphasized the initial ongoing phase of a journey to free economy, indicated by the keywords frequently occurred, such as explore and step. After CEPA was issued, they focused instead on the final goal of a journey in expressions such as achieving the goal of a full economic liberalization. The meaning of building metaphors also changed, with more emphasis being placed on free economy as a building in construction in the early phase, and more emphasis placed on free economy as a completed building in the later phase. So here we found the variation patterns in the mapping principles for journey and building metaphors before and after June 29, 2003. So the changes in the meanings of the journey building metaphor suggest Hong Kong political leaders applied the same source domains while emphasizing different perspectives in order to achieve particular political goals, such as construct a positive self-image, because both journey and building metaphors possess the positive connotation of progressing or moving forward or building up a long-term goals. It appears to support from the public as well to issue the free economy agreement and achieve the final goal of full economic liberalization in Hong Kong. So this is also evidence that politicians successfully renegotiate specific metaphorical frames in public discourse. And a quick summary of the main findings of this study. So first, the incremental change in metaphors is more prevalent than fundamental change, suggesting that source target domain pairings are fixed over time, which is beneficial in terms of knowledge transmission and comprehension. And this finding is in line with previous research on linguistic data of inner circle English and European languages. A fundamental change, when it occurs, may be aligned with larger structural changes in society, such as those that occur due to political changes, societal innovation, or disruption. Also, we showed that examining patterns of metaphor mapping principles, the source target domain mapping principles, provides a principal way to quantify the incremental changes in metaphor meanings over time. This study has practical implications that we present how metaphors were used by Hong Kong government leaders in the framing of one specific societal issue at different points of time for achieving particular political agenda during the first 2 decades of post-colonial Hong Kong. It also has theoretical implications in that approaching metaphors at a cognitive level and a discourse-based level with framing analysis at a communication-based level contributes to the development of the three-dimensional model of metaphor, which emphasizes metaphor analysis at the levels of thought, language, and communication. And finally, this study has been published in the Journal of Lingua. Feel free to download, and if you are interested in more detail of this study. That's all for my presentation. These are the reference list. Thank you for your attention. If you have any questions, feel free to ask or unmute yourself. Yes, you can write your questions in the chat box or just unmute yourself.
there's a question for you, Winnie.
Oh, okay. What is the relationship between the use of software, MIPVU, and manual coding? Okay, thank you for your question, Yan Xiu. So the first, the MIPVU is not like a software. It's a metaphor identification procedure proposed by Professor Stein in 2020. I can, if you're interested in the book, I can send to you. So we follow this metaphor identification procedure to identify metaphor manually. So the metaphor identification is in my study, we actually just manually identify the metaphor. Okay, so MIPVU, it's a procedure step. You can follow the procedure step by step. For example, first you read the context involving the keywords, and second, you check the word meanings in dictionaries recommended in MIPVU, and then you check the contextual meaning of the keywords in the contexts, and then compare the basic meaning and context to find if there's a metaphorical mapping. So this kind of a procedure. So it's also a manual coding. Thank you. Second question by David. Can you elaborate on how you build your corpus? Sure. So for the corpus building, I also manually collected all the public speeches on the official website of Hong Kong government. There's, I think, an online archive of public speeches by Hong Kong senior officials. If you search public speech by Hong Kong senior officials, you will see the official website. And I just copy every article during this time period and sort up all the articles in Word document for analysis. Okay. How you collect the political discourse? Do you collect them online? Yes, I just answered this question. How are the data of correlation significance analyzed? Okay, that's a good question. So for here, for the correlation between time, for example, I used the Pearson correlation test to test the association between time and free economy instance, and the association between time and the free economy metaphor, and also between time and source domain. So that's how I analyzed the correlation. And you can see here, I provide the Pearson correlation results here. If you can see, so here the p-value here indicates no significant association, and here we find a significant association according to the p-value here, and also no significant association in terms of the use of the four source domains of time. Free economy, are they the same term? Economic freedom. Free economy and economic freedom, in my data analysis, I mean, in my data coding, we consider that as the same, not the same term, just we categorize them into a broader category under the free economy domain. So under the free economic domain, we have economic freedom and or other instances such as economy without government intervention. These kind of expressions, if we identify these kind of expressions in my data, we categorize them under the broad free economy domain. Coding procedure. After reading the paper, I'm not very clear. Could to explain how the coding is done, which types of software. Okay. So for Xingyue, which step of the data coding you are interested in? Like, so first we identify the free economy metaphor, and then we identify the source domain of free economy. Okay, maybe I just briefly introduced the data coding, okay? So here, the first step is we build the corpus, right? And then we have more than 1 million and I think more than 1 million words. Then we need to extract a free economy instance from the corpus. So I have a list of lexical items to be searched in the corpus. I searched all the lemmas under economy and trade, these two words. So you need to like predetermine the lexical item you want to be searched in the corpus. Once you have the list of lexical items, you can search in the corpus using wordsmith. Yes, I used wordsmith. And then you will have concordances involving these keywords. The next step is, so the first we got more than 8,000 economic instances. And then we manually identify free economy instances, because not all the economy instances are related to free economy. A lot of them are just talking about the general economy in Hong Kong. So we manually we had a criteria to identify the free economy instances based on the definition of free economy or the specific contextual information. Like I just said, if you saw the expression such as economy without government influence or no sales taxes, this kind of expression, and if there's economy or trade keywords in that sentence, you can identify this concordance. It's related to free economy. And then the next step is so after you got the free economy instances, then you can start to identify the metaphorical free economy instance, right? So we follow the MIPVU method. You can read the book to see the specific procedure. And we also use the WordNetSumo online database to check the word meanings. And we also check the dictionaries recommended in MIPVU to double check the word meanings of each keywords in order to further confirm if this keyword is metaphorical or not. So we got around 700 metaphorical free economy instances. Then the next step, after we have the free economy metaphor, we start to identify the source domain. The source domain is just like I introduced, for example, free economy is a building. So you need to find you have the metaphor, then you have to identify the source domain, which is building in the case. So we followed the source domain verification approach proposed by Ahrens and Zeng 2020. You can download this paper online to see how you can identify source domains, metaphor source domains. So that's basically about the procedures of my data coding. How do you make sure that you work out all the metaphors related to the topic? So I can say I have like collected or identified 100% of the metaphors in my data, but we do have a systematic procedure to follow, and then also 2 analysts conducted the coding, and we did the iterator reliability tests, and for those ambiguous cases, we actually discussed and proposed a new criteria and reanalyzed those ambiguous cases in order to make sure that we've already identified all the metaphors as many as possible. Yeah. Which method is better? how to test for different significance. So for the interrater reliability, I just used the Cohen's cap. So how to? I think for this question, we normally use the kappa value for the interrater reliability test to see the results. Not sure other methods. Okay, I think we have to move to our next session because of time limitation. So for other questions, maybe you can just email me, or you can read my paper. It's free online, you can download it, and just contact me for any other questions. I'm very happy to share with you my experience in conducting this study or any other studies related to corpus-based metaphor analysis. Thank you very much.